What's up, dum-dums? It's been a little while. Hungry Idiot's back here. Got some new swag. Today we're going to make chili. Kind of a bastardized version between Texas chili, Chilli Con Carne, but basically no beans in this chili. So for this recipe, you're going to need stewing beef, large or medium diced onions and garlic, tomato paste, chili powder, cumin, some Anaheim or large chili peppers, a can of diced or crushed tomatoes, a bunch of beef broth, some sour cream, sharp cheddar cheese, an avocado, some cilantro, and that's it. So we're going to start off by taking our onions and garlic, and we're going to dice them up. Relatively large chunks, medium, small dice, somewhere in there. And we're going to chop them up. Then we're going to take our peppers, cut them in half, take all the seeds out of them. You could leave the seeds in if you want a little more heat, but then you're going to have seeds floating around in your chili. We're going to cut this into about 1/4 inch pieces or so. Chop it up. And throw it in with our onions and garlic. Then we're going to take our beef, take all the stupid packaging off, pain in the ass, and just season it with a little bit of salt. You don't need to go too crazy on the salt. We are going to check our seasoning as we go with this. Make sure you use kosher salt. Don't be stupid. Don't use that table salt crap. So on the stove, we're going to get a fry pan, and we're going to get a large Dutch oven or a big pot. My original plan was to put that in the oven to let this cook for a couple hours, but I'm just going to do it on the stovetop instead. So we're going to cook our beef in the fry pan and then put it into the large pot with the onions and peppers as they cook. Now the main point of this is that we want to get a good sear on the beef, because searing beef in a pan gets that nice fond on the bottom, which is what creates really good flavor, okay? So make sure you get your pans hot, add some vegetable oil, and get your onions and peppers going in the Dutch oven. Touch of salt just to keep things moving, and some pepper. Now on the fry pan, we're going to get our first round of beef in. We're going to do this in a couple steps, okay? Don't just dump all the friggin' beef into the pan at once and hope that it's going to sear nicely. You got to do this in smaller batches so that the pan stays hot and it doesn't just end up boiling your beef instead of searing it. So after a few minutes, you're going to see you got some nice color on the beef, and you're going to flip it over so you can get some color on the other side. Don't forget to stir those onions and peppers too. See, look at this now. Look at that nice brown fond on the beef. We're going to scrape that up, put it in with the onions and peppers. This is the good shit. This is what you want. This is what builds really good flavor in a chili like this. So we're going to deglaze this with some beef broth. You can use beef stock too. If you make it yourself, that's great. But what's most important is the fond in the bottom of the pan. So we're going to put this back on the burner, scrape it up, and dump it in our chili pot. Rinse it out with a little more broth. And we're going to do this a couple more times until all of our beef is done. Now you can add your diced or ground tomatoes to the onion and pepper mix. Give it a good stir. And here we go with round 2 on the beef. Once again, make sure the pan gets hot again. Add some oil. Put your beef in and let it sear. Don't go too quick with it. Make sure you get that nice browning on there. That is really the most important part here. You want to build flavor by getting a nice fond. See that, how it's browning up already? And flip this over again. This is the point where you go, shit, I'm an idiot. You fucking idiot. I forgot to put the tomato paste in the beef or in the onions and peppers. So I'm going to put a bunch more in this last batch of beef. I'm going to give it a good stir, make sure it coats everything. You want to cook a little bit of the tinny flavor out of these tomatoes. Otherwise, it's going to take a lot longer to cook out in your chili as it simmers on the stove. So cook this for a couple minutes and then deglaze it as well with beef stock. Make sure you scrape up all that good shit on the bottom. and dump it in your pot. Rinse out any extra flavor you got in the pan there, and then bring this to your front burner. You're going to let it simmer, and you're going to add some seasoning. So you could have added cumin and chili powder to the onions and peppers while you sauteed them, or you can just do it right now. I add about 2-3 tablespoons of each. Go in with some smoked salt. I got some liquid smoke kicking around that I want to use. Add some smoky flavor. That's always nice. A little bit of salt and pepper. Don't go too crazy. You can always add more salt later, remember. Especially since this is going to reduce for a couple hours. You can add a little more beef stock as you go too, just so that it doesn't get too thick, because you do want that beef to break down over the next couple hours. I did this for about an hour and a half, but I would prefer to do it for like 3+ hours, just to get everything nice and work together. Let that beef break down. Make sure you check your seasoning as you go. Add a little bit more cumin if you want to, a little more salt, a little more pepper. And while we're waiting for that to cook, we're going to shred some cheddar cheese. Extra old if you can, or whatever you want really. I'm going to take an avocado, cut that up, so cut it in half, chop the pit out, and then take your avocado and slice it while it's in the skin. And then you can just remove that with a spoon when you serve everything up. We're also going to chop up this cilantro. Nothing fancy, doesn't matter. You don't need to be too picky about it. Okay, nobody gives a shit. You're eating at home. Save that cilantro for later. And this is all our prep. Open up your sour cream. This is all our prep for when we serve. So now this has been cooking for about an hour and a half. See how it's thickened up quite a bit. Got all that delicious beef in there. Nice thick sauce. Like I said, I would have liked to cook this even longer. But it looks really good. So check your seasoning once more before you serve it. See if you need to add any salt or pepper or more cumin. And to serve it up, we're just going to pour it in a bowl. Top it with a little cheese so that melts. Dollop of sour cream. Some avocado. And a sprinkle of cilantro. And that's it, guys. It's not really that hard. It just takes time, patience, and not much work. I'm going to put the ingredients in the bottom here. So if you need more info, feel free to comment. I'm always open to suggestions for new videos. I'm going to try and keep this going for a while here. And don't forget to like and subscribe.